Tico and Dylan are 10 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And Senna's 6?
5.
5. And obviously baby Brooklyn. What does that conversation sound like for the boys versus for the girls in your mind? And Chris, you have what, daughters? What do you have?
I have 3 boys and a girl.
3 boys and a girl. So Pat, in your minds, is that a different conversation with the boys versus girls, or are the kids even old enough to have that conversation? When should you start having these conversations? What age?
Yeah, I'm reading right now the Cain Velasquez case. You guys are following, you know what happened there with the Cain Velasquez case. I don't know if you know what happened there.
I heard something happened.
Tyler, you know the story?
Yeah, he somebody had assaulted his 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Tens, if not like 100 times, and he shot at the guy, but hit the father, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Is that
so? Cain Velasquez, probably not a guy's daughter you want to mess with.
UFC legend, right?
Yeah. And the guy goes and kills the guy.
He killed him.
Kills
He's going after the guy.
He's going after the guy, but accidentally. Anyways, so he kills the guy, or he kills no, Mr. 33 and was on the Colorado Superior Court of Velasquez, according to ESPN. Velasquez was denied bail early this month after he was arrested and charged for allegedly trying to kill a man, amongst other things, who was charged himself for allegedly molesting Velasquez's younger relative, right? Young relative. Can you make that a little bit bigger so I can? I've known Mr. Velasquez for 15 years, and during this time, an inactive athlete and UFC, he represented our company with dignity, always treat others with respect. Dana's talking about he was a model of example of how professionals should carry themselves, projecting a positive image of UFC. White has joined Kamar and other people go a little bit higher. Anyways, so Cain has helped me more occasions. Okay, people are saying good things about him. Here's the point. When it comes down to kids, man, it's a very different situation. Kids, sometimes when they're kids, they do things to each other when they're kids. Like I got a call. Guys running a real estate office, and their kids both are at the office. Young kids, okay? Under 14, under 12, whatever it was. Maybe one of them was even 4 and 5, young kids that they had at the office. And they're in the other room doing an appointment, and they come in. The 2 kids are fooling around with each other, okay? 4 or 5 years old, okay? And they're like, how do we handle this? Is this going to mess with their head or not? And they're calling me. This is one of the lengthiest conversations I had with them because they had no idea how to handle this situation. It's a pretty wild situation. Whose fault is it in that situation?
Right.
Is it a 4-year-old's fault? Is it a 5-year-old's fault? They're both, what do you call it? They're both, so I'm like, dude, I'm not call somebody and process it with them, but, you can't do anything with the kid at this point. My daughter being 5 years old, other kids come to our house and they're playing and they're going away. You're always worried about when they go in a room by themselves. The doors got to be open, who they're playing with, and adults got to be watching. Even if you let a younger kid watch, how disciplined is that kid to watch? Even if they're 13, 14 years old, I'm still not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with a babysitter under the age of 40, to be honest with you. I know this sounds kind of weird. I'm just not. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with a babysitter that's a little older. But I've had many weird conversations with the boys, But with Senna, you have to talk to the girl from an angle of, look, you have something that guys want. And unfortunately, there's some bad people out there. And you need to know, you got to process it with them like he's talking about. My concern here is not as much the kids as it is the parents. We had dinner with a parent the other day, and I said, so how do you bring it up to them? Oh, I'm not going to bring it up to them. It's very awkward. Like, what do you mean it's very awkward? Your kid is 14 years old. I'm not going to bring it up to you. You got to talk to your kid. You don't think she's already going through it? You don't think she already knows about sex and other people are trying to get to her? That happened at 11 years old with boys. You don't think they're doing it at 14? I think the challenge in here, going back to Chris, is help shape the mindsets of because I don't think school teachers are doing it because they're worried if you do it, God forbid you offend somebody with transgender and all these different sensitivities they have. What should parents be thinking about right now? How should they process this?
Well, I think, again, it's being proactive. And if you need to read a book, if you need to do research, if you need help, if you need a professional, there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to at least start having the conversation. And again, create the opening for a child to come to you and say, I have a question. Is this okay? Is this appropriate? And that's the best you can do. and create that, because you can't rely on the school. Yes, there are internet safety classes. Yes, there are wonderful organizations that go into schools to try to educate kids. But at its most organic level, it's what happens in the house. And it's the comfort level that you feel. And again, it starts, you can make the rules however you want them. Computers only in public spaces. You know, I control the access to the internet. I control who you talk to on the phone. But at some point, they're going to figure out a workaround, right? They're going to get on the internet.
Yeah.
And I've given speeches where fathers say, "Oh, I just won't allow it. I'll take it away." Well, they can go to Starbucks.
No,
they
you
go to the
can't
friend's
do
house.
that. That doesn't
The
work.
entire cities are wired. So you have to say, look, you're protected here. This is your safe area. And you're generally safe everywhere you go. And the reality is, when it comes to predators, the vast majority of kids who are preyed upon somebody they know, right? Even though there are many, many scary stranger cases, and I deal with them all the time. So it's really about creating the comfort level with the family to say, hey, and if you have a daughter, you can talk to your mom if you're uncomfortable talking to me. But I'm here for you. And there should be nothing off topic.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the whole thing when I'm talking about babysitter under 40, I'm talking about like guys, men, women. You know, it's a different story. When you were doing an interview and you said, in all these cases you've had with catching a predator, has there ever been a woman? And you said none.
None.
Right?
None.
It's never been a woman.
It's happened, but the therapists or the experts in the area have always said to me that when you see the female predator scenario, you're more likely to see the teacher-student. The female predator does not like the anonymity where the male predator sometimes can thrive on it.
Right, right. So, but, you know, it's crazy. Yesterday, I don't know who we're sitting down with, and we're talking about why is it that teachers in Florida is women that are, who said that? Somebody, John said that. John said that yesterday when we were doing a PBD podcast prep. And he says, you know, in Florida, it seems like it's the women teachers who take advantage of young boys. How does that happen? How do you have that how different is a conversation with your sons if you got a real handsome son?
Traditionally, you know, and you hear the comments all the time, like, that'd be a dream come true or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's a fantasy come true for a young man. But it's not, and it's inappropriate. It's not healthy, obviously. So, you know, look, I remember in public school, it didn't happen to Brother Rice, but in public school or in college, you know, there were very attractive professors, TAs, teachers, you know, whatever. And there would be chatter amongst the fellows about that. But the reality is, when it comes to young kids and young boys, it's wrong. We have ages in the law for a reason, you know, and it's illegal for an adult to have sex with somebody who's a minor. And those laws are in place because it's hard to process.
How do you talk to your son about that? What do you tell him? Like, I was 13 years old. I'm in 8th grade. My history teacher's name is Miss Angulo. I'm being serious. Every one of us has a teacher. What was that one movie with Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah. The Graduate,
right? You know, it's a legendary movie. So boys have these fantasy teachers that they think about, that they help them grow up. What do you tell your son?
There's no rush to fulfill this fantasy. It's natural to feel it. And again, I'm not a therapist. I just play one on TV with predators. But from where I sit, having sons who are 30, 28 almost, and the youngest, my stepson, is 20, you know, they're out of the woods pretty much. But when my older ones were younger, you know, it's all about respect. It's about, you know, you don't have to rush into this. Right? You got your whole life to experience certain elements, right? Take your time. Be a kid.
Yeah, that's easy to say.
It is easy
but
to
when
say.
you're 15, 16 and your hormones are raging and there's a hot teacher ready to...
I get it.
It's like, I don't know about that, Chris
Hansen.
Hansen.
I lived it with, you know, 2 boys. You know,
Yeah.
I walked in one time, and my son will kill me for telling the story, but, you know, we left the house, came back, drove by, going out to dinner, and the front door is open. And I go, duh. And I go in and I go down to the basement. And he's in the hot tub with a girl. And, you know, I don't think they're driving yet. And I hauled them out of there. I said, look, first of all, you can't have a party here without parents home. That's number one. Number two, you put her in a situation where she could be embarrassed because you weren't thinking of her how this may look or appear. So,
But they were both what, 16, something like that, 15?
yeah, 15, something like that.
Well, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong with it, but I
Okay.
had the conversation.
Right.
You gotta see how this could look. And what if her dad strolled by? Would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah,
And
I don't
think
know if those
about that.
conversations are going to work for 15-year-old boys.
Maybe
I don't
not.
know.
I just, you know.
Let me ask you something else.
Sometimes you pray for the best, you know, and hope everybody figures it out. But I think if you preach respect,
Yeah.
you're halfway there.
Well, here's just another scenario that is a little of a gray area. Because I remember being a senior in high school, and there was like a freshman girl that
You're
liked
talking
me
about
or
the
whatever.
laws. I was just about to
Yeah,
ask the
so
same thing.
how many 18-year-old boys are hooking up with 15, 16-year-old
Well,
girls?
depending on
You're
the
going to
state.
school together.
Right.
Like, it's not like it's that big of a difference. I joke around with the girl I dated when I was 18. She was 50. The girl's 38 now with kids. It's like,
Right.
what are we talking? You know,
But I think that's
at the time it
at
was,
the
oh
time-
my God.
Right, but that's why in many states, if you're 17, 15, it's not illegal. If you're 30 and 15, it's illegal, as it should be. So, you know,
But it's the 18-15. It's the 19-16. It's like, well, is it? We go to high school together. We go to school. You know,
And
that's the weird part.
I'd even take it a step further that you're branded for life. Like I worked with a guy who I think he might have been 19 and she was 15 or 16, and her dad didn't like him, and now he's been branded as a sexual predator.
well,
Or
you
even,
probably
like-
had to register.
right, or even if like you're drunk and taking a leak outside and get arrested, you're labeled as
Well, that's obviously, you know, at some point, you know, in some areas, we lost common sense in this, right? If a 17 and a 16-year-old are dating and there's an issue, that 17-year-old probably should not have to be prosecuted or register as a sex offender. I mean, that's just common sense. I mean, they're within a year or two of each other, and that's why the laws have changed. Now, you know, if it's the teacher and the 15-year-old student, yeah,
Different story.
different story. But I mean, we sometimes, in an effort to have zero tolerance policies,
Yeah.
find injustice.
I think.
And I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I
Yeah.
have seen what you've said. And no, you shouldn't. If you get caught outside a bar urinating in public, you should not have to register as a sex offender.
If you enjoyed this short clip, click over here to watch another short clip. And if you want to watch the entire episode, the entire podcast, click here.